Book 5, Calypso the Sweet Nymph. For 7 of the 10 years Odysseus has spent wandering the Mediterranean Sea, he has been held captive by the goddess Calypso on her island. And remember, Calypso is the sweet nymph. As Book 5 begins, Zeus sends the god Hermes to tell Calypso to release Odysseus. However, she is only to help him build a raft. He must sail for 20 days before landing on the island of Scheria, where he will be helped in his effort to return home. No words were lost on Hermes the Wayfinder, who bent to tie his beautiful sandals on, ambrosial, golden, that carry him over water or over endless land in a swish of the wind, and took the wand with which he charms asleep, or when he wills awake the eyes of men. So Hermes is the messenger god, and what that means when it says no words were lost on him, that means that whatever message is told to him, he is able to carry it back with accuracy. And he doesn't lose words. However, he's known for his cleverness and trickery. Also, he has a wand that charms people asleep, or when he wills, charms them awake. So, wand in hand, he paced into the air, shot from Pieria down to sea level, and veered to skim the swell. A gull patrolling between the wave crests of the desolate sea will dip to catch a fish and douse his wings. No higher above the whitecaps Hermes flew, until the distant island lay ahead. So this is comparing Hermes to what? Exactly, a seagull. So just as a seagull goes on water and in water and on land, as does Hermes. Then, rising shoreward from the violet ocean, he stepped up to the cave. Divine Calypso, the mistress of the isle, was now at home. Upon her hearthstone, a great fire blazing, scented the farthest shores with cedar smoke and smoke of thyme, and singing high and low in her sweet voice before her loom a-weaving, she passed her golden shuttle to and fro. A deep wood grew outside, with summer leaves of alder and black poplar, pungent cypress. Ornate birds here rested their stretched wings, horned owls, falcons, cormorants, long-tongued beachcombing birds, and followers of the sea. Around the smooth-walled cave, a crooking vine held purple clusters under ply of green, and 4 springs, bubbling up near one another, shallow and clear, took channels here and there through beds of violets and tender parsley. So here's a picture of Calypso, and a lot of people say that she looks pregnant, but really it's just her dress billowing. And you can see where we talked about in the poem Calypso, these are like the lush green flowers and grass and all that grows on her island. Okay. Even a god who found this place would gaze and feel his heart beat with delight. So Hermes did. But when he had gazed his fill, he entered the wide cave. Now, face to face, the magical Calypso recognized him, as all immortal gods know one another on sight, though seeming strangers far from home. So that means when gods and goddesses see one another for the first time, they automatically know one another on sight. They know who the other is. Doesn't necessarily mean that they know much about them, but they automatically recognize one another. But he saw nothing of the great Odysseus, who sat apart as 1,000 times before and racked his own heart groaning, with eyes wet, scanning the bare horizon of the sea. So why are his eyes wet? What's he doing? He's crying. And why is he crying? He doesn't want to be there with Calypso. So he's sad and he's longing for his wife Penelope. Calypso invites Hermes to her table for food and drink, asking why he has come. Hermes explains that he is brought with an order from Zeus that Calypso must not detain Odysseus any longer, but send him on his way home. She reluctantly obeys, agreeing to offer Odysseus her advice about how to get home. So that's the poem that we read the other day. That's the advice that Calypso shared with him about the rest of his journey on his way to Ithaca. The strong god, glittering, left her as he spoke, and now her ladyship, having given heed to Zeus's mandate, went to find Odysseus in his stone seat to seaward, tear on tear brimming in his eyes. The sweet days of his lifetime were running out in anguish over his exile, for long ago the nymph had ceased to please, meaning he long ago stopped wanting to be with her. Though he fought shy of her and her desire, he lay with her each night, for she compelled him. So again, he didn't want to sleep with her, but every night she made him with her powers, and then afterwards he was so upset and just sobbed every day. But when day came, he sat on the rocky shore and broke his own heart groaning, with eyes wet, scanning the bare horizon of the sea. Now she stood near him in her beauty, saying, "O forlorn man, be still. Here you need grieve no more. You need not feel your life consumed here. I have pondered it, and I shall help you go." Now, really, why is she letting him go? Because Zeus made her, but she's pretending like it was her own idea. So she begins here pretty soon to start some wordplay with Odysseus. Swiftly she turned and led him to her cave, and they went in, the mortal and immortal. He took the chair left empty now by Hermes, where the divine Calypso placed before him victuals and drink of men. And victuals are like meat, like steak and hearty food that's going to make him full and more easy to talk into things. And then the drink of men is wine, so she's going to get him drunk, and she's going to try to talk him into staying on his own terms. Then she sat down facing Odysseus, while her serving maids brought nectar and ambrosia to her side. Then each one's hands went out on each one's feast, until they had their pleasure, and she said, "Son of Laertes, versatile Odysseus, after these years with me, you still desire your old home? Even so, I wish you well. If you could see it all before you go, all the adversity you face at sea, you would stay here and guard this house, and be immortal, though you wanted her forever, that bride of whom you pine each day." So she's saying, if you leave, you're going to face troubles. You ought to just stay here and guard the house and be immortal, just like me. But you sit here and think about that wife of yours every day. Can I be any less desirable than she is? Less interesting? Less beautiful? Can mortals compare with goddesses in grace and form? To this, the strategist Odysseus answered, "My lady goddess, here is no cause for anger. My quiet Penelope, how well I know, would seem a shade before your majesty, death and old age being unknown to you, while she must die." So basically he's saying, oh no, you got it wrong. It's not that I'm longing for Penelope. I'm longing to get home to Ithaca. Now, is this the truth? No. I mean, of course he does want to get home to Ithaca, but he's also wanting for his wife, Penelope. He's lying to her. And he says, yes, it is true. Each day I long for home, long for the sight of home. So he lies and says that that's all he wants, but he really wants to be back with Penelope as well. With Calypso's help, Odysseus builds a raft and sets out to sea. For 17 days he sails until he is in sight of Scheria. For 3 more days he's pummeled by storms and finally swims for the island. He makes it safely ashore and crawls to rest under some bushes. A man in a distant field, no hearth fires near, will keep a fresh brand in his bed of embers, to keep a spark alive for the next day. So in the leaves Odysseus hid himself, while over him Athena showered sleep, that his distress should end, and soon, soon, in quiet sleep, she sealed his cherished eyes. So Athena, with her powers, allowed Odysseus to fall into a deep sleep to get some rest before he begins the rest of his journey the next day.